Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another Quran step. Today, inshallah, we'll be covering ayahs 45 and 46. I'll begin with the recitation. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. واستعينوا بالصبر, and seek help through patience. والصلاة, and salah. وإنها, and indeed it is, لكبيرة, difficult. إلا على الخاشعين, except for the humble. الذين, who, يظنون, are certain, أنهم, that they, ملاقو ربهم, will meet their Lord. وأنهم, and that they, إليه راجعون, will return to him. Okay, let's have a look here. واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة, and seek help through patience and prayer. So in the ayah it doesn't actually say seek help in what. But specifically here, the context is the Jews entering into Islam. And they found that difficult because they thought that they would become dissolved in Islam and lose their Jewish identity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, seek help by being patient and by praying salah. But the ulama understand this, that this applies to every matter. Al-ibratu bi'umum al-lafz la bi khusus al-sabab is a general principle that is used when talking about the texts of Islam, that unless there's a reason to make it specific, they are understood to be in general. So this ayah, this part of the ayah, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, will apply to every situation. What is patience? What is sabr? The ulama understand it to hold the self in check when faced with something it doesn't like. So if you're doing something good, praying salah, fasting, etc., all of these are tiring. And the self, the nafs, the ego in ourselves wants to stop. And sabr at that moment is to hold yourself to continue doing those actions. So you continue doing it. If you're doing something, if you see something bad, you might find it exciting. It excites your nafs, your internal desires, and you want to do that thing, but you hold yourself in check. That holding is sabr. So sometimes sabr makes you continue with an action, and sometimes sabr makes you halt from doing an action. How can patience be developed? There's a very beautiful hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, where it is reported an Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, the Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, said, Inna nasan, indeed people, min al-ansar, from the Ansar, sa'alu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they asked the Prophet ﷺ for something. فَأَعْطَاهُمْ, so he gave it to them, i.e. some wealth. ثُمَّ سَأَلُوهُ, so they asked him for more. فَأَعْطَاهُمْ, and he gave it to them. ثُمَّ سَأَلُوهُ فَأَعْطَاهُمْ, then they asked again, and he gave them more. حَتَّى نَفِذَ مَا عِنْدَهُ, until everything that he had with him was finished. فَقَالَ, then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, مَا يَكُونُ عِنْدِي مِنْ خَيْرٍ, whatever I have of good, of wealth within me, فَلَنْ أَدَّخِرَهُ عَنْكُمْ, I won't store it or hide it away from you. But then he gives them advice. وَمَنْ يَسْتَعْفِفْ يُعِفَّهُ اللَّهُ, whoever is abstinent, Allah will make him self-sufficient in his abstinence. وَمَنْ يَسْتَغْنِي يُغْنِهِ اللَّهُ, whoever seeks to not ask others, Allah will give him self-sufficiency. وَمَنْ يَتَصَبَّرْ, whoever is patient, يُصَبِّرْهُ اللَّهُ, Allah will make him even more patient. وَمَا أُعْتِيَ أَحَدٌ عَطَاءً, nobody has ever been given anything خَيْرًا أو أوسع, better or wider, من الصبر, than sabr, patience. So patience, the way to develop patience, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching the Sahaba, is to actually continue being patient. Every time you face a difficulty where your soul wants to do something haram, you stop it. The next time you face that haram thing, it will be easier. The third time you face it, it will be even easier. One time you face the salah and it's difficult, but you pray the salah, The next second time you pray the salah, it'll be easier. Third time you pray the salah, and so on. As the years go by, your sabr will increase. يستعفف. This hadith is an amazing hadith, and I'd recommend that you go and have a look at the full translation of this and how the Prophet ﷺ explained it. How did the Prophet ﷺ put this verse into practice? Here, let's listen to Shaykh Al-Jazairi. He says, مشروعية الاستعانة على صعاب الأمور. The fact that Allah has legislated, when you have the difficult time, what to do. وَشَاقِهَا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. By legislating that you should have patience and you should pray. إِذ. So, for example, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا حزبه أي أصابه أمر. Whenever the Prophet was facing a very difficult situation, فزع إلى الصلاة. He immediately went to pray salah. So, subhanallah. If you have a difficult situation, pray 2 units of salah. Pray 2 rak'ah, nafil. If it's a time for the fard salah, pray the fard salah. Pray extra salah. Keep praying your salahs. That's the secret source of strength for the Muslim. Then the ayah continues, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. وَإِنَّهَا, indeed it. The it is referring to the salah. Okay, because salah is female. So ha. لَكَبِيرَةٌ. La for emphasis. Kabir, big. Ta marbuta to fit with the female gender of the word salah. Indeed, salah is difficult. Except إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Except for those who are humble. Look at the word kabir occurring in the ayah here. If you look, what does the word kabir mean? It comes in various different places in the Quran. For example, it says here, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ. Okay, they ask you about wine and gambling. قُل, tell them, فِيهِمَا, in both of them, إِثْم, sin, kabir, big. So it literally means big. Or in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, فَلَمَّا اسْتَيْأَسُوا مِنْهُ خَلَصُوا نَجِيًّا قَالَ كَبِيرُهُمْ أَلَمْ تَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ أَبَاكُمْ قَدْ أَخَذَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَوْثِقًا مِنَ اللَّهِ. So this is when the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam go there, and then Binyamin is taken away from them, and then they're stuck. They gave a very firm promise. So they're having this conversation, secret conversation, a private conversation. And so, قَالَ كَبِيرُهُمْ, their eldest, the oldest brother amongst them says this. Okay, so here kabir means eldest. Or, kabir can mean difficult or hard, as it means in this ayah. But it says, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ. It is big, i.e. literally big, i.e. it's very difficult and hard. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this in that sense. كَبُرَ عَلَى الْمُشْرِكِينَ مَا تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَيْهِ. It's very difficult, very hard for the idol worshippers. They find it very difficult in their souls because their souls are so corrupt to what you invite them, i.e. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, i.e. Islam. Okay. What does خاشعين mean? والخاشعين من الخشوع وهو في الأصل اللين والسهولة. The literal brute meaning of the word khushu means to be soft and suhula, easygoing or compliant. ومعناه في الآية الكريمة, and the meaning of it in this ayah, الخضوع والاستكانة, to yield, to be subservient to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when a person is subservient to the command of Allah, the salah becomes easy. We talked about the word it. So here's a very beautiful sentence, a paragraph by Imam al-Razi, where he talks about who is the prayer easy for and why. So he says, وَإِنَّهَا كَبِيرَةٌ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ. Indeed, it is very difficult. أي ثقيلة, heavy. على غير الخاشع, for the person who does not have khushu', who does not have this humility, surrender, yield, ready to yield. لأنه لا يعتقد, because he does not believe. في فعلها ثوابا, he doesn't believe by praying salah he's going to get reward. ولا في تركها عقابا, and if he leaves it, he doesn't believe there's going to be any punishment. فيصعب عليه فعلها, so then it becomes performing the salah becomes difficult. فالحاصل, so the result, أن الملحد, the person who is the atheist, لاعتقاده عدم المنفعة, the atheist, the person who is ungodly, who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he does not believe there's any benefit. His belief is there's no benefit to salah. في أدائها ثقل عليه فعلها, so then it becomes difficult for him. لأن الاشتغال بما لا فائدة فيه يثقل على الطبع, Because the personality, human nature is that if you do something which has no benefit, then it becomes difficult for people. Subhanallah. Indeed, in that is a lesson and a message for the people who manage others. That if they do not perceive any benefit in doing that, they will find it very difficult. أما الموحد, as for the person who believes in Allah, فلما اعتقد في فعلها أعظم المنافع. He believes that in praying salah there is a huge benefit. وفي تركها أكبر المضار. And if he leaves it, there will be a great harm. لم يثقل عليه أداؤها. Then performing the salah will not be difficult for him. بل أداها وهو سعيد بها. Instead, he will be able to do it and he is happy with it. ألا ترى إلى قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Haven't you seen what the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said talking about salah? وَجُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. He said, the most beautiful thing, the most precious thing to me, to my eyes, is salah. وصفها بذلك. He called it this. لأنها كانت لا تثقل عليه. Because it is not difficult for him. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be of those people who seek help. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, by being patient and continuing to pray salah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.